Dear friends, today's episode is Contact with the Higher Self. You only believe in what resonates with you. Nam. You didn't find this video by chance. First off, there is no such a thing as a chance. At least not in the sense of an accident or a coincidence. Einstein noticed it too when he said, "God does not play dice with the universe." Everything is arranging itself according to the specific pattern, and the reasoning far more complex and precise than meets the eye. In fact, what is visible is only a fraction of what really is out there, and we refer as universe or God. Curiously, for Einstein it is not the same thing. Let me introduce myself to you and what I am offering in this channel. I have known all my life that there is something very important I will need to convey to humanity while I am here. I have always had a feeling that this needs to be shared. Somewhere deep down I had the knowing that when the time is right, or better to rephrase it, when I am ready, the message will be revealed to me to be shared with you all. So here I am. Why should you trust me? You shouldn't. You should trust yourself. Only if yourself and your consciousness agrees with what I am sharing with you on these pages, my mission is accomplished. I am not a prophet nor an oracle. I don't know it all. I am only a messenger. There is a story of a Buddhist monk who said, "If you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him." I think the first meaning is obvious. Don't take to heart everything you hear and beware of fake prophets. Another meaning, however, is even more profound. Buddha, if he could even be met on the road, will never enforce his teaching over you. Those prophets who sell their words as truth on the highway billboards often care only about their own profits, pun intended. There are many ways we can channel messages from the outer consciousness as well as our spiritual guides and your subconscious. Unknowingly, we do it on a regular basis. While many of us get our messages through dreams, others can communicate with something higher than themselves even in their awakened hours. Some do automatic writings or spontaneous image downloads, others meditate and regress themselves to a trance state where their brain no longer blocks it. No particular technique is better. It's what suits you best you need to find. I found myself getting all the answers from within myself. I probably had it forever. At least even in my very young childhood, I somehow was able to know and understand things that no one explained to me. That unexplainable knowing, which some call wisdom, was something I could not imagine to be without. For that I have been given a teasing nickname, Little Buddha. There are many things about my existence I took for granted, and only many years later did I finally understand what this all meant, and how I ended up knowing what I knew and became the way I became. I was lonely most of the time. I sensed a deep and inconsolable sense of isolation. Like coming to a foreign country and not being able to speak the native language and feeling like you are an outsider. In my life, I have often felt like a foreigner in the figurative and literal sense until somehow, I finally was able to find my wholeness and comfort in the answers. My comfort of knowing found me when I finally become ready to receive. After so many years, after a COVID pandemic, after being upgraded and shifted to the level I could communicate the way I wished, everything just kept coming to me. No filters, no time or place that would be out of limit. It's like talking to someone who is wonderful, open, and generous, who is much more advanced but immensely patient and loving. My higher self is my teacher and a communicator. It is me, my energetical essence from a million or so years forward. I have been explained that the timeline, of course, very approximate as well. It is not the measure of the development of the soul or the energetical substance. Some people are more comfortable with the term consciousness, but it is the same thing in its core. The point is, it is the part of us which is eternal and transcends time, space, and forms of existence. It is the observer, as it is referred to by quantum physics. The famous Madame Blavatsky called the higher self Atma, the inseparable ray of universe and oneself. My higher self has given me her name to me too. It is Nam. At least this is how her energy interprets itself to the sounds familiar to me. At her level there is no longer pronounced language, and everything is telepathic, but for my convenience she introduced herself as Nam. Most of my communications with Nam are dialogues. I ask a specific question, or a series of questions, and Nam provides me with answers and any information that is relevant to my question. Some answers are more detailed than others. Nam doesn't refuse to answer, but in some instances the answers are short, which leads me to believe that some aspects of the answer are held back. I sense the reason for withholding some information is due to my limited capacity for understanding and interpreting certain information, or perhaps some things are not allowed to be disclosed, in order not to interfere with the future. I must trust myself as I am now, as well as Nam, to communicate openly, but gently, so the dialogues are mutually beneficial and serve the best purposes for us both. I inquired often in the past about different things and why things are the way they are. So much about this reality makes no sense, and so often no rhyme or reason for the events to occur. If you are like me, don't be discouraged. Seek the answer with all your heart and mind. All the answers are apparently already in you. And so I have been told. The more I communicated with this higher consciousness, the more I become convinced that everyone can do the same. Einstein did it, Tesla did it, as I am sure most of the other known geniuses among humans. My self-doubts inflicted by my abusive childhood were for a long time a major roadblock to my communication with my higher self. However, once I consciously removed that block and immersed myself into understanding of my own boundless wisdom, the calling to share my knowledge became my eternal fire. The passion of loving generosity, the passion for translating this superb energy into words, and the passion to organize the information into the sections which are easy to comprehend became my everlasting desire. We can all perhaps relate to the story of Moses and his struggle with self-worth. He was far from perfect. He betrayed his adoptive family of Pharaoh, he had challenges to communicate due to stutter, he committed the crime by killing the man who abused Jewish slave. In our earthy judgmental outlook, he should have been condemned and shamed to the invisibility. Yet, God saw his worth from the higher perspective and put the fate of the entire nation into his hands. His message of liberation was heard despite the stutter, shyness, and self-loathing. We are all special in the eyes of the universe. The biggest felony you can commit is to diminish your own worth. I am not unique or special in my ability to receive this obscure knowledge, but I am daring and hyper-curious in my pursuit of truth. I prayed for a while now to be able to download and share the knowledge with the world. Although some of it is borderline of believable and sane, permission is finally granted. I am ready, and I am well aware that this message will not sit well with everyone. There will be cynical and skeptical minds out there who will criticize and try to discredit everything I share. But it is not for them I am writing this book for. I know it will reach those of you who are on the same wave as me and who will in their turn spread this word. The seed needs to be planted. And this is my mission. We as a planetary collective are at a crossroads. We are at critical moments in our history. We need to make conscious decisions about our future. Many of you will ask me, how do you know this, and most importantly, how do we know what you are telling us is true? The answer is simple. You won't. Until the time comes to see the truth and become a living part of this truth, you won't know for sure. Seek the knowledge through your heart, not the mind loaded with skepticism, programmed by the selfishness of a powerful few. Remove your roadblock of self-doubts and doubts about the knowledge you are receiving. Only then the truth will come to you as beautifully and fully as it came to me. Invite it and it will come. Reject it and it will dissolve into oblivion. The choice is yours. I am certain you will get in touch with your higher self whenever you are ready. Our higher consciousness is always prepared to communicate with us. The broadcast is there, it's the receiver needs to be ready to tune in. The hardest thing is to trust what comes to you and go with it in your mundane life. If you are like me, inclined to seek answers and perhaps even feel brave enough to peek behind a veil, enjoy the journey. You are allowed to go anywhere you wish. Remember the famous rabbit hole? How far down do you wish to go? Random Q&A. Vampires, myth or fact? Blood-sucking creatures always existed on Earth. Blood is a very unique blend of nutrients, DNA of the donor as well as their energetical signature. Creatures who were feeding of the blood could have used that energy to have access to the donor's essence and even assumed their appearance, not limited to a human. The famous story of Count Dracula is not an isolated instance, as many similar stories exist in folklore. Lower energies on Earth can shapeshift and feed of the blood of animals and humans. Vlad Dracula was not the original vampire but rather a donor for the entity who assumed his physical appearance. This one-of-a-kind channel reveals the answers to the most burning questions everyone must ask. What is the meaning of life? What is a soul? What happens when we die? Who are we and where do we come from? Why there is pain and suffering? What is God? Are aliens dangerous? How do we make our wishes come true? Can we get more love, health, and money? All this information is available and ready to be shared from a non-biased standpoint. It not only tells the truth revealed by the higher consciousness, but it also teaches how anyone can get in touch with their own higher selves. There is no topic left untouched. It is, perhaps, the most honest and liberating writing you can come across in modern spiritual literature. How did it come about? It started by me being born in the secret military research base in the rural Russia, Kapustin Yar, equivalent of Roswell Area 51. It established my extrasensory abilities, which have been activated by the series of events of my life. I have been channeling a non-earthy consciousness as long as I can remember. Only with age I have realized that this is not an everyday occurrence for many. For some time, I have had an impulse to bring important messages to humankind but was hesitant to take on such a mission. At the lowest point of my life, I even attempted to take my own life but miraculously survived a near-death experience. That amplified my psychic abilities further and directed my life towards writing this book. The source I am communicating with was introduced to me as Nam, my higher self. She is a forthcoming version of my current consciousness and belongs to the highly evolved group of beings. This information has been disclosed with the hope that it will serve humanity and inspire an evolutionary movement within humankind which is currently at the major crossroad. Please support my mission by subscribing to my channel and sharing my videos. I thank you all so much. I am looking forward to your comments.